people in. But I hope everybody is ready to go and ready to meet your candidates tonight. All right. So while we're waiting to get started here, just make sure you drop your name over there in the chat down below. That you tell people where you're at, where you're from, what you're drinking, because I assume most of you all are having something to drink. I know a couple of our candidates were cracking open beers at the end of their day. Um, let's see. Yeah, and so like for instance, me, I'm Drew Beechum. I'm in Pasadena, California, trying to desperately avoid the sun that wants to burn me to a crisp. Um, and I will tell you, this is now what I think this is our fifth of these AHA happy hours. We started in November. And this is kind of a whole new spaghetti that was built up by the Community and Education Committee on the of the HA board. And kind of a fun little thing that we're doing here. Really, it's just time to sit back, have a beer, and go ahead and meet your candidates. We will be taking questions from them after a quick introduction so that everybody can say hi. But I do also want to point out that this is something kind of very cool. This is actually the first board election for the brand new AHA. So if you remember, we went independent in July of last year with a founding board, 5 volunteers, and it's time for us to bring in some new blood. Two of the founding board members are, stepping down and going back to their day jobs or other jobs. So Sandy's going back to trying to focus on the BJCP. Gary's got a brewery to run now with multiple breweries. And we've also added 2 new seats. So that means we have a total of 4 open slots on the board this year. Um, I will say that one of the things that's very cool is that when we put up the announcement, uh, I was really kind of blown away by the response that we had. So it was about, as I kind of think of it, it was a bountiful riot of candidates. Um, so we had way too many people to run for the board and put up for the election. So the HA board winnowed it down to the slate of 10 who are going to be here on screen with y'all and answering questions. Now, I know that one of the questions that people will have is, hey, why did you winnow it down? Why didn't you just let all 28 people vote for vote? There's a funny little thing that happens when you have a pool that's that large, you actually get less voter turnout. So we went through and kind of vetted the process, just so y'all know, was a blind process. We looked at everybody's bios, we looked at their experience in homebrewing, the number of years as a homebrewer, experience in nonprofits, experience with accounting, experience with the things that we need in order to make sure that this foundation and association can continue running for the next 48 years. So that's kind of where we are. That's how this all happened. AHA members will be able to vote until March 29th for their 4 preferred candidates. So you get four votes. And we'll include the link over there in the chat. And so you'll be able to actually go ahead and do this. Now, at the same time, I do want to point out that if you want to actually help keep the AHA being able to do things like this, our Zymergy Lives, put on the National Homebrew Competition, put on the National Conference, put on other programs that we're coming out with that I can't quite talk about yet. Make sure that you join and or renew your membership with the AHA because that money does actually help keep us running, and so do your ideas. So if you do have those ideas, for things the AHA can be doing, for guests that we can have for one of these happy hours, a topic that we can cover, something that we can do for Zyme Live, anything like that, also feel free to go drop that in the chat. So your expectations for tonight, this is far less formal than our Zymergy Lives usually are. So no slides, I promise, no slides. A little more banter, probably slightly more swearing on my part. My apologies. The nuns who taught me in Catholic school would be upset. So again, introduce yourself over there in the chat. We do ask that you practice good Zoom hygiene. So stay on mute unless you're going to ask a question or it's your turn to talk or there's a question that you ask that needs some follow-up. But most importantly, the law that we follow on all of these chats that I do with everybody is Wheaton's Law. And Wheaton's Law is very simple. It should be easy for everybody to follow. Don't be a dick. Shouldn't have to explain it any more than that. All right. So part of the way that we're going to do the questions tonight and that we do on these Zooms is there's a little Q&A button. It may be hidden in your interface if you haven't used it before. So if you don't see a little Q&A button, which looks like a little question mark, the dialogue cartoon box, then there's the more button that's down there in the interface. And you should be able to click on that and you'll see a Q&A. Just click in that Q&A, it pulls up a dialogue. Ask your question in there, and then you can also go in and upvote other people's questions and be able to actually, drive some of the conversation. So there you go. Go do that, please. Let me see. What else do we have to do? Because I feel like there's 500 things that have to be done. Yeah. So again, submit your questions. One thing to note, the questions are here for the candidates tonight. This is not about AHA policy or the AHA spend or other things like that. What we're really looking for is for you to find out, about more about the candidates and be able to actually make an informed decision while voting. I will also remind you that if you are not able to stay all the way through this, or you're catching this, or you want to catch this at a later time, this will be going up on the AHA's YouTube channel in short order after we're done here. So you'll be able to watch it there. All right. I think that's all the expectations in the preamble that I have to do. So since we do have 10 people running on this candidate slate, I'm just going to go around the horn and ask people a couple of quick questions. All 10 people are going to get a couple minutes to speak, and then we'll jump into your questions because I think that's going to be the more interesting part. So without further ado, going around the horn, let me see here. We'll just do this in alphabetical order by last name. So Jen Blair, it's your turn on the hot seat.
All right, great. Thanks, Drew.
All right, no worries. All right, so now again, like I said, we've got a lot of candidates, so we got to do this pretty quick. So Jen, name, location, how long have you been brewing, and what is your biggest focus as a potential board member?
Sure. Well, hi, everyone. Thanks for joining tonight. I'm excited for the opportunity to answer some of your questions. So, like Drew said, I'm Jen Blair. I am located in Atlanta, Georgia, unless you're located in Atlanta, in which case I actually live in Mableton. It's just easier to say Atlanta. And I've been brewing for about 13 to 14 years. I started out all grain, have been all grain the whole time. I've brewed professionally for a couple of years, but mostly homebrew is where my heart is. And my biggest focus as a potential board member is beer education and also accessibility for historically excluded communities.
There we go. All right, and of course, the other question I forgot to ask you right up front. What's the last thing you fermented?
The last thing I fermented was actually pizza dough.
Pizza dough. There we go. Dough does count as fermentation. Never
It
forget.
does.
All right, perfect. All right, Mark.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me tonight.
Right,
Appreciate
same
it.
set of questions, buddy. Name, location, how long you've been brewing, and your biggest focus.
And what did I last ferment?
Yes, and what you last fermented.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, hey, hi. I'm Mark Bullman. I live in beautiful Loveland, Colorado, home of crispy, cold mountain brewing water and even cooler vibes. I'm also part of a even cooler group, the Loveland Wise Guys Homebrew Club. We're pretty awesome. Check us out. Brewing a lot of beer and killing it in competition. I started homebrewing back in 2011. Similar to Jen, I went in all grain, jumped in both feet. I've been brewing pretty hardcore ever since. Yeah, and what do I hope to do on the board? You know, Drew, when I raised my hand when I was a young 18-year-old, when I joined the Air Force, serving, being a good steward, just really became part of my DNA. And I've transformed from, I think, having a servant leadership mindset to being a transformational mindset. So serving our membership and helping elevate the mission. So I guess what I hope to do, I've got a background accounting, finance, risk, continuous improvement, and the AHA has been around for 40 years. So I guess what I hope to contribute is to be able to bring my background and help with that transition from the BA. The new mission of the AHA provides me a hell of a lot of inspiration. And I guess, a home brewer in every neighborhood, a club in every community. Just, I'm pretty stoked about that. The last thing that I fermented last night, I packaged my super dope, squeaky clean, lean West Coast IPA that's hopefully going to pull a medal in the first round of NHC here in Longmont. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you, Mark. All right, Mike.
Hey
There you go.
everybody, Mike Brennan. I'm based in the Seattle region of Washington. I have been homebrewing and fermenting things for about 31 years at this point. I started off in college with a roommate. We brewed stovetop extract batches, just buying kits from a local homebrew shop. Really didn't care about the process. We were just really into the fact that we could have beer and we had taps in our backyard. So we had the cooler house in college. So I've been brewing on electric brewing systems for a long time. I worked for Pico Brew for a while, director of sales and marketing, worked for BSG. So repping Grainfather systems, which I still brew on. I love Grainfathers. I like no propane tanks in my that I don't have to lug around. So I've become really happy about that. On to folks as a board member. So uh, having visited a lot of homebrew clubs in the region, I'm also one of the NHC directors. I direct the Seattle site. I've been involved since 2013, starting in Northern California. I've always been an organizer. Loving that. And, the AHS had mixed past with, having been underneath the BA. Now it's free and so many new things evolving, and it's really exciting for me. So if you've read my candidate statement, I've been, I bring years of engagement from 15 plus years working in the brewing industry and raw materials, competition, leadership, nonprofit board space. Most recently, I was the editor in chief for the MBA Technical Quarterly. John Palmer nominated me to that, and I did that last year. I bring that. I want to bring my leadership skills from that professional life, and I want to support the AHA in preventing mission drift and focus on that performance. The AHA's got a lot of high performing people, a lot of volunteers, a lot of great committee, and I'm super excited behind that. So I want to bring accountability back to members of what we can actually accomplish in these next 3 years that I'd be on that board seat. My focus is I want to build education that sticks. So my master's work is in educational leadership. I believe that, being that part of that cornerstone of my life, embracing education and technology as a medium to help us enhance education in this current world is really important to our future. Being somebody who goes out to homebrew club meetings around here, and I have my own homebrew club in Northern California, is that cornerstone of our passions homebrew clubs. Having serviced the homebrew shop industry for a while, I've watched a lot of brick and mortar close. We've all seen our community homebrew shops close, and that used to be where we all learned how to brew. I learned how to brew shop, right? Being able to bring something back to them and more proactive engagement that rewards shops for their support of our hobby and the AHA is also the other part of what I want to bring as part of that education. So I'm seeking your vote as I'm looking to bring that passion experience to further push the AHA's momentum and continue to harness it. What we're doing is grassroots growth. And if you share my belief in that the AHA can be that catalyst that gets us going again in homebrew, more inclusive and stronger education, that's what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for your vote. So thank you.
Okay, and what's the last thing you fermented?
Sunday I just made an old school, if you guys remember, a Red Tail Ale. It's West Coast Red from the old Mendocino Brewing Company. I have a clone of that I developed years ago. So that is now in the ferment. And I also happen to have some red wine vinegar going from a buddy of mine's failed wine batch. So I was like, oh, that'll make great vinegar. So
There you go. Vinegar counts too. All right.
I ferment everything. If it ferments, it's in the house somewhere. So yeah.
There you go. All right.
Thank you.
On to Brooke.
All right. Hey, everybody. Brooke Bristow from Greenville, South Carolina. If you've never heard of Greenville, we're in the northern part of the state, which is about 60 miles down the road from Asheville, which is conveniently where HomebrewCon is going to be taking place. June 19th through 20th. Tickets available at homebrewersassociation.org. Yes, I have been a shill for a lot of beer nonprofits over the years. It all started when I began my homebrew journey about 12 years ago. Like a lot of people, started with extract and a stovetop. Eventually turned into all grain club meetings, way too many conversations about mash temps. That led me on to, being a leader of a homebrew club, which kind of led me on my journey to where I am now, which is as an attorney for breweries in our state. Um, Biggest focus is just going to be, I want you to think of me as kind of the boring governance guy. I don't think I'm going to out educate or out brew anyone on the panel, but I do have a lot of experience running nonprofits. I was the executive director of the South Carolina Brewers Guild. I've run multiple beer weeks in South Carolina. I've been a club leader. Educator, I've passed legislation, stuff like that. So a lot of experience in that area. So that's kind of my lane, so to speak. It's going to be the governance, it's going to be the systems, it's going to be kind of doing the stuff that every kind of healthy nonprofit needs to kind of set us up for success in the other lanes that people might be more suited to than me. But anyway, that's me. Think of me as an English mild. I'm boring, but people in the beer world love it and need it. So that's who I am. Last thing I fermented, big saison guy. Despite my comparison to English milds, big saison guy. So love to do DuPonts like all the time. I just my love to do my clones. So that's about it. I think I covered it all.
Thank you, Brooke. Shawna, I do not hate saison. You know that's a lie. All right. Next up on the wheel is Stephanie Butler.
Well, hello everybody. Yeah, those are quite the candidate to follow. I'm impressed already and really excited to be able to be in this candidate field and excited about what everyone has to offer. And I am from Kansas City Beer Meisters. I am currently in Chicago for Drunk Monk judging, which is what's going on behind me today. And I guess the reason why I am doing this is because I have a real passion for the creativity that homebrewing brings and just the joy that you see on people's faces and the camaraderie and getting together and making friends across the country. And I'm currently the KCBI president, very active in running our competition. So I don't know if you guys some people saw our competition, and I have a really hands-on approach, baby hands for the Saturday Night Live folks. Super fun. I just enjoy hanging out with people. I enjoy sharing philosophies about brewing. Enjoy brewing immensely, competing, judging, currently studying for another exam, to see if I can level up again. I'm currently serving on a couple of committees for the AHA, which I'm super excited about and honored to be part of. Our committee last year was able to step in and handle finals in Kansas City last year, and that went off pretty well. We managed to put on a decent awards ceremony and some fun for the judges that all came to town. So I'm just super excited to be part of this and serving as MHP treasurer right now. Just a lot of irons in the fire, and I just like to be involved with all of it. And I'm just really thrilled to have an opportunity to try to shape what we are going forward. And as far as what's fermenting right now, it's a lot. So, I mean, we brewed 3 beers last Friday, a couple the weekend before. So I think right now maybe an English IPA, a Helles, an IPA version 1, version 2, probably English Porter, I think just transferred right before we left for Chicago. So I think we're pretty busy brewing and just keeping the excitement growing and working on new techniques, philosophies, fun stuff. So that's what I really hope is to work towards educating, just really enjoying it and enjoying the people that are part of this and tapping into talents that all the volunteers can bring and just making this a really fun, collaborative group.
Heard. Thank you, Stephanie. All right, Dave, you're up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dave Losh. I'm in Olympia, Washington. I'm just Tuesday, the past president of the South Sound Sud Society. I'm a transplanted Midwesterner, having grown up in Ohio. I have been brewing off and on for 40 something years. I don't want to date myself, but I remember sending a check out to F.H. Steinbart's in Oregon to get supplies way back when, and you had your choice of 3 different types of malt extract, and that would have been light, amber, or dark. So things have come a long way. I'm out in the Pacific Northwest. I've traveled for my career. I was a USDA agricultural statistician for 40 years and got to see most of the country. What a beautiful country we have. And I ended up in the Pacific Northwest for a couple of reasons. One was because my wife's family is here, and the other is because I don't freeze my butt off like I did in Minnesota or Ohio. So this is really a critical time for AHA, and I'm running for the board because I think it's time that folks really stepped up and made a difference. We need to proactively get some value back in members' hands that maybe aren't engaged right now. I think, with this hobby and what a great hobby it is. I remember about 15 years ago, I was on a business trip over in Eastern Washington, and I went into a local brew pub, and I saw people come in, and I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And they said, "Oh, there's the homebrew club meeting tonight." And I said, "Wow, I wish I had some beer with me." And they said, "No, go on back." So I went on back, and they welcomed me and told me about the different beers that they had. Where else can you do that? It's not like you can go to a bowling alley or something or sign up for a bowling team where they want to know, what's your score? What are you going to bring to this? Everybody's so friendly and helpful. And that's really one of the passions and I kind of got myself into being the chair of the HBC and have met some wonderful people with talents. And a good friend of mine that had retired, his philosophy was everyone knows something you don't. And that has stuck with me. And just look at the candidates on this board. There's so much knowledge, so much experience, and so much enthusiasm. It's just amazing. I'm really just kind of humbled. I think right now in a post-COVID kind of a situation, we're having the HBC. And it's really kind of killing me to see our homebrew shops falter. We've lost 2 here in the area, and now my closest one is 45 miles away. It's a great shop. They're the lifeblood of what we want to do, and I'd like to see us emphasizing giving them tools, giving them some printable event flyers, giving them some AHA stickers to put on when people pick up orders. The large folks, I understand. I've ordered from them. The shipping part kind of kills me, but have them have buttons on their websites, do stuff like that. Just find out more. Where's your local club? Those types of things. I think we've got a lot of good ideas that are going around out there, and I'm just really flattered to be considered to be a candidate. I do need some help from folks. So we've got about over 20 folks that have signed up to be session speakers at the HBC in Asheville, and we need more, and we need them. Our deadline is Sunday. So if you know somebody who has spoken in the past, or maybe you've got somebody in your club that hasn't done it, but you think would be a good speaker, please, please, please reach out to them and encourage them to throw their hat in the ring. And I do have a community participation event for you all. If everybody goes down to the bottom of their screen and clicks the react, if you're enthused and you're going to show up at HBC, let's hit that thumbs up and keep mashing on it. And thank you very much.
Wait, Dave, you forgot to answer the most important question.
Oh, I brewed on Sunday. I did a Gary Glass recipe that was in Zymergy, was the My Bach. And I renamed it May Bach for my 2-week-old granddaughter.
There we go. Perfect. All right. Thank you, Dave. All right. Next up, Jen P.
Hey, everybody. I am Jen Pereira. I'm in Somerset, Massachusetts, which is about an hour south of Boston without traffic. close to the Battleship, Massachusetts, if you know where that is, in Fall River. Um, I've been working in Rhode Island for the last 25 years because it's right across the border. I'm actually closer to Providence than any other major city. So I started brewing in 2004, started with all grain, because my students wanted to learn how, and we had a system there in the classroom. And so we learned how to brew together and never looked back. Before that, I was teaching wine classes. I still teach wine classes, beer classes, cider, mead, um, brewing classes, beer business classes. So I started brewing at the school and then also home brewing on the side. And then by 2010, we had some really good beers being put out, but we had no way to get feedback on them. So the school wouldn't let us send them out off campus. So we started a competition at the school, which grew and grew and grew until it was too big to hold at the school. So I've been doing that, competitions and judging since 2010-ish. We built a brewing classes, brewing minor, brewing certificate program, a study abroad for beer in Sunderland, if anybody knows Brew Lab up in Sunderland. So yeah, I've been doing mostly beer for the last 22 years. My focus, I guess I would say, my hope, and actually, before I do that, I just want to say I looked through every candidate's, statement and their history, and I was absolutely blown away. I had trouble deciding who to vote for. So for all of you, I know from reading that whoever the membership chooses, the AHA is in good hands because there's just a lot of talent coming to the table, and and everybody that's serving on the committees. I'm also the deputy chair for the national homebrew competition. So anyone who's going to be in Asheville, I'll see you then. I'll also be in Seattle and Philly, judging there this next month. So, but yeah, I've learned a lot in the past 3 months, and work with some just amazing people, and I'm really looking forward to that. But my goal as a board member would be to increase the value of membership through education. And when I talk about education, I'm not talking about formal education. It's more like spreading the gospel. Having worked with college kids for the last 20 years, first of all, how many of you started brewing in college, whether it was brewing beer or fermenting something, right? Yes, we need to engage more people coming in and get them enthusiastic. And I saw students go like, oh my God, I can make beer? I'd never thought about this. And they completely changed their trajectory. It's not something that they talk about in high schools for obvious reasons. But yeah, when students figure out that they can make cider and mead and ferment all kinds of fun things, even non-alcoholic, they just have a blast. So I think engaging younger folks to come in as members is just a great way to not only build the membership, but build the enthusiasm behind stuff. They have amazing ideas too, and I want to kind of tap into that. People talk negatively about this generation, and I don't know why. They all have 3 jobs and go to school and somehow manage to make it through the day. So I have a lot of hope for that. So yeah, the last thing I fermented is this Irish red that has been sitting in the fermenter too long because I just can't find time to bottle it. It's a smoked red, and so I'm hoping that I can get it into bottle maybe tomorrow if I don't have too many meetings. And other than that, yeah, I'm just really looking forward to what the AHA is going to turn into. I've been a disruptor for the last 20 years, building new things, and I just see so much potential for what the AHA can be. I'm psyched for the future.
Perfect. All right. Next up, Jason.
Hey, hi there. I'm Jason Romano from Reston, Virginia, which is just outside of Washington, D.C., not too far away there. I have been brewing for about 30 years now, which seems crazy to me. Started in college, uh, just like what Janet had mentioned. Yeah, I was brewing in my fraternity house, and had that epiphany, like many people here have, that once you discover that you can actually make beer, it's this amazing thing. And so I think that kind of really changed my trajectory a bit. I was learning engineering, and I just kind of worked beer into every facet of my life, I think. Discovered homebrew clubs, discovered the AHA, discovered BJCP. And then about 10 years ago, my wife and I had the opportunity to open up our own taproom brewery right here in Virginia. And that was kind of the culmination of the life of beer here. Um, so I've been a long time AHA member, long time home brewer. Still a member of several clubs in the area. Have been actually, they all seem to meet this second or so week in of the month. So I've been hopping around to a lot of homebrew clubs, talking about the new direction of the AHA, and I think everyone's really getting excited by that. Um, I guess my biggest area of focus would really be on kind of building the community again. It just like the brewing industry right now, and everyone has seen homebrew shops close, and the kind of the the club kind of trajectory has been declining a bit, and it's concerning to me because it's really, this is the lifeblood of beer. This is where all the innovation happens. This is where most of the experimentation and this community, which has really supported me my whole life, is really important, because it's when you really get down to it, it's not about the beer, it's not about the brewing, it's about the community, it's about everyone coming together. This would not be a hobby. This wouldn't be important if we didn't share our beers with each other. This is the whole point of it. So I'm really interested in seeing what we can do to strengthen the homebrew clubs, and the relationships with all the homebrewers, and as well as something that we're working on here in Virginia. I'm a member of our Brewers Guild. Making those connections between the guilds and the homebrew clubs and the homebrewers, I think, is a good way to really foster that community. Um, so what was the last thing I brewed? Just yesterday, we brewed our English Pale Ale. We call it an English Pale Ale because nobody, most of the customers around don't understand what an English bitter is, and that it's not bitter and all of that. So we call it an English Pale Ale, and then work to educate customers that come in. Um, One thing I wanted to mention, since Jen had just mentioned it just previously about the kids these days, the students. We had a wonderful opportunity. A student from Virginia Tech came to brew with us last night, and she had reached out and was studying food science and had taken a class at Virginia Tech on brewing, and she was wanted to learn more. So she stayed the entire brew day. We had her shoveling the mash out of the mash tun, and getting dirty, and had a lot of fun. So it's really amazing seeing passion for this hobby and for brewing. Like just seeing that in younger people, it keeps everything going for me. So thank you for that.
Okay, perfect. Next up, I think it's Anne, right?
Hi there.
Yes.
Hi, I am Ann Stott. I live in Athens, Ohio. That is Southeast Ohio. And I have been brewing for about 30 years. And like most of you guys, started in college. I moved from Texas to Washington State to go to Washington State University as a grad student. In Texas, you have Pearl Light. And I got to Washington State and discovered all this beautiful beer. So my husband and I started homebrewing, and the rest is history from there. My focus on being a potential board member, my biggest focus would be to ensure that the American Homebrewers Association remains a strong, well-governed, and financially sustainable organization. I'm a CPA, and I have extensive nonprofit board experience. I believe strong governance also includes transparency, thoughtful strategic planning, and making decisions that align resources with the organization's mission and priorities. A solid financial governance foundation allows the AHA to continue investing in the programs that matter most for the members, supporting those homebrew clubs, expanding educational opportunities, and strengthening the broader homebrewing community. My goal would be to help ensure the organization remains stable, well-managed, and positioned to support homebrewers for many years to come. And for me, I currently have a West Coast IPA in the fermenter.
Perfect.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, ma'am. All right. And the last one on the whip around is Jeff.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff Welpley. I live in Chicago, Illinois. Like actually Chicago, not the suburbs. I live downtown. Stuff I'll be judging on Drunk Monk on Saturday. So I'll be traveling out to the suburbs to do that. I've been brewing for 25 years. I am part of Chaos Brew Club. I've been on the board of Chaos Brew Club since 2013. I've also been the president, vice president, and currently the membership director. We've been a nonprofit, 501c3 nonprofit all the time, so I do have that experience with nonprofits. Our brew club is actually a maker space, so we've been really good at getting people into the homebrew hobby because they don't have to invest a lot into it. They just need ingredients and a fermenter and they can go, and we're there to trade them. So we've been really good at keeping our membership up just because it's really easy to start brewing with us. We're also really good at getting people who are not into homebrewing interested in homebrewing. Even if they don't want to brew, they come and drink our beer. I would really like to kind of bring that type of experience to the board to almost help HA become almost like a resource for people in other cities to kind of follow our model, or at least help people engage the public in general. We do, like listening to some of the other candidates, we actually have a lot of I'm actually one of the older people in the club. We have a lot of really young people in our club, and our club's probably about 180 members. So we're large and we're really good at engaging the younger generation. We also do a annual street festival, a homebrew street festival that I organized, where we get like about 15 to 20 brew clubs from Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, and we actually close down the street. It's been really interesting navigating that with the city of Chicago and making that legal to do that in the street. But we make it work, and it's super popular. We had about 500 people show up last year, so it was pretty overwhelming. We're just looking for it to be bigger this year. And I kind of just really, as I said before, really want to be able to try to bring that to the board, the ability to kind of act as a resource for other brew clubs and home brewers to kind of expand and keep people in their area excited about home brewing. Let's see, what else? The last thing I fermented was English IPA, which is kind of boring, but I also have a pineapple saison going, and then I will be brewing next week a smoked porter with chipotles and raspberry puree.
Yeah. By the way, Jeff, you just brought up one of those fun topics that we were just talking about earlier today. Is like you say, "Hey, I made an English IPA, but that's kind of boring." Yeah, it's really hard sometimes to remind people that, hey, just because it's boring doesn't mean it's actually boring.
Right.
All right. So that's all 10 of the candidates. Holy poop. Thank you. That was fast. So now I'm going to dig into the Q&A, just so that we can get these questions answered. And again, for the candidates who are out there, if you got something that you want to say when I read the question out, just go ahead and jump in. And in the meanwhile, if you want to ask a question or you want to re-vote on a question, get a question up, go into the Q&A button either directly in your face or under that more button, hiding away there. All right. So first one's kind of a cheater question because it comes from our chair. What brings you the most joy when it comes to homebrewing?
Fellowship.
All right, Mark. Okay, or Anne, sorry.
Fellowship.
All right, fellowship. Mark?
Mhm.
What brings me the most joy when it comes to homebrewing? Well, I think for me, just like starting with recipe formulation process is like everything, right? Just making minor tweaks on nuance and just like seeing outcomes. And I guess I just got to say, like for me, like having just this wonderful homebrew club, being able to put beer in front of my friends and my family, and share that, it just, community means a lot to me. And yeah, that's what makes it special.
Perfect. All right, Mike, you had your hand up there.
Friendship. We talked about that for a second. I think about my trajectory with friends, people who've lasted longest, homebrew club friends. I started a club in 2008, 2009, Sacramento with two other people. It grew to 35. We still all keep in touch somehow, even though the club's kind of not there anymore. But it's, when you have friends that you get together with and you actually have something that you do besides just, hang out or go to the game or something like that. You're actually involved in something and sharing ideas. It's stimulating. It's fun. I mean, we all use the word fun, but it really is. It's like one of those things you go back and go, man, I can remember in 2013 doing X, Y, and Z with the club, and it was just a total crazy blast for all of us. So yeah, that's where else to get to share all your passions like that with your friends and do something that's not at work.
Perfect. All right, thank you, Mike. Steph, you had your hand raised too?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, it's creating like that homebrew that is like medal worthy. I mean, it's like that, that beer that achieves that high score, it does the competition. I mean, you get to be here with your friends judging beer, and it's just that's super satisfying. And it's not everything, but I mean, it's pretty dang awesome to be part of all this.
Perfect. Thank you, man. Jeff.
I like obviously the fellowship that everybody else is talking about. That the homebrewing community is a really great community to be a part of. I love sharing my beer, I think, almost more than I like making it because I really do enjoy brewing beer, but we take part in a lot of festivals and events where we get to go out and share our beer with the public. And I really enjoy doing that and seeing the reaction of people, the good reactions from people when they drink my beer and they like it, or, other people in the club's beers. It's just really cool. And being able to do that for charity events and stuff, it's just it really helps to have your passion be something that's actually kind of productive and helping people.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, Dave.
I'm more of a simplistic kind of a person about brewing. When I get things going, I just love the smell of the malt. And I'm a hophead, but I've learned to really appreciate malts. And I agree with the others, the fellowship. Before, a good friend of mine and I had a wort chiller. We used to put our pot in a tub of ice water. And I remember one time we were doing that, and I went out front to clean something up, and it was on the back deck. And I came around the corner, and he was white as a sheet of, I don't know what. And I said, "What?" He said, "It's gone." And I said, "What do you mean it's gone?" He said, "The thing tipped over and went right into your grass, and that's the end of that 5 gallons." And I said, "Dude, you owe me more than a beer now." So, but yep, I love the fellowship of it as well. Made so many good friends.
All right. Jen P.
Yeah, I love everyone's answers so far, Dave. That totally reminds me of a video. I had my students homebrew beer as their class projects. They worked in teams. And one team, these poor girls, oh my God, they're busy students. So, homebrewing all grain is a 6-hour process. So it was pretty late at night when they decided that it was a good idea to skip the chilling process before they racked the hot wort into the glass carboy and then put the glass carboy into the ice bath. Yeah, that was painful to watch. Yeah. So I mean, I love teaching about brewing, and that's because it is a life skill. I always tell my students, not only will every beer you ever buy and drink taste better, but if you know how to make beer, you'll be the last one kicked off the island, for sure. And but I love the fact that when I go to a homebrew club meeting, and shout out to East Bay Homebrew Club in Rhode Island, it's just a great cross section of people from all different walks of life, different ages, different backgrounds. And it's the one thing that kind of brings everybody together. I like homebrewing because I can make things that I can't buy. Like, as weird as I want to get, like, I love Saison because it's super flexible. You can throw anything in a Saison and it's still technically a Saison. But I also like looking up historic styles and like kind of researching like what actually I should do and coming up with ratios and trying and just experimenting, and then sharing the results, good or bad. But yeah, it's the people. It's definitely the people. And I think the diversity of the membership is the strength, and it's also an opportunity because there's a lot more out there that I don't think the AHA truly taps into. So I'd like to see that expand more too.
All right, perfect. And yeah, you say last to be kicked off the island. I always joked around that if you know how to brew, you're going to survive the apocalypse because people will want to have you around. And actually, so speaking of like the diversity thing, we had an anonymous question come in, which was, how can the AHA change how we truly welcome and encourage engagement with those that have felt excluded or underrepresented? So, anybody want to tackle that one? All right, Mr. Mike, you want to start us off?
I'll take a parallel from the pro industry side where Jen's worked. I've worked. Those of us that have watched that happen. When Marcus Baskerville started the Harriet Baskerville Incubator Project, it's the nonprofit I sat on to help him get that going because it was all about putting underrepresented folks onto the brewing platform. So we pulled a bunch of money from a bunch of industry people who needed to squeeze it out of them and drive people in, because it's easy for us to forget that it's like, we need to bring in a lot of faces. So how do you break that barrier to entry? You got to make it less less exclusive, right? You have to stop making it about, oh, I do this, like, well, why don't you break it out and do something completely different, draw people in who you'd not normally think would reach out to that community, right? And that's how it's the same as discovering new music. It's like, take somebody to a concert they've never been to and they're like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be that great. And take somebody to a brew meeting. It's like, or people who don't drink a lot of the beers we drink, don't bring IPA to them. Bring them a nice Pilsner. It's like, oh, it's an easier bridge, and it's like, and incorporate some culture into that.
There you go. All right, Jen P, you got your hand raised.
Yeah, I went to a kind of off topic, but actually connected. I went to a Bordeaux wine presentation, a big hoity-toity hoo-ha at a private club in Providence about a year ago. And I remember the director of that event, who worked for the Bordeaux Wine Producers Association, came up to me and said, you work with these kids. How are we going to get these kids to appreciate Bordeaux? And I said, well, not by doing this. You have these really super exclusive snobby events, and then you just expect them to come to you. That's not how it works. Like, you have to go to where they are. So if you know where these people are, it's the AHA's job to go there and meet them where they are. And to the question about how to overcome the gear fear, human beings have been making beer-like product for thousands of years with like before we even had buckets, we were making beer. So I asked in the chat if any club had been doing a Stein beer. Like, I think sometimes doing the old historic styles and showing people that you can actually make beer with really rudimentary equipment, it helps people feel a little more confident going in. But yeah, my students would, $50, they could have enough equipment to make, competition worthy beers. So I have faith.
Good. All right. And now we go from one gen to the other gen.
All right, Gen P to Gen B, right? Yes, that's how alphabet works. So I agree with what everyone has said so far. I do a lot of advocacy within the professional beer industry as well. And I think one of the biggest things I've seen also from, being a home brewer and being underrepresented at like homebrew club meetings and events, that we can't keep trying to cram new people who are new to the hobby into those same old models that we've had, because not everybody's going to feel comfortable going to a homebrew club meeting by themselves, especially if they don't look like anybody there. They don't even know, what they might run into, or am I going to be treated with respect? And those are valid concerns. I mean, those are things that I have concerns about because they're things that have happened to me. So just like Gen P said, meeting people where they are and being willing to kind of rethink maybe what homebrew club looks like, or even just what a homebrewing community looks like, to be more inclusive of others who don't fit in that traditional homebrewer mold.
Sounds good. All right. Miss Steph Butler.
Yeah, I just our homebrew club meeting, both for first of the AHA, and I mean that's where we meet people where they are. It's festivals, it's homebrew club meetings, it's people at the homebrew shop, it's people at the liquor store, people that come to take a judging class, and to be welcoming. I mean, being a woman in this whole thing I've never felt really intimidated, or I haven't really felt polluted, just because I think that everyone has certain things where they always, where they can feel like they're intimidated or feel like part of something. And the real key is to just be that welcoming person, be that person that when you see somebody new that's asking questions and wants to know more, be that person that listens, and don't try to overwhelm them with your knowledge of what you know, but really just hear what they're talking about. Make it easy. It's simple. It's beer, relax, have a home brew, that whole thing. But just, enjoy the company and enjoy being part of the process and welcoming somebody new into the home brewing community. I think it's pretty awesome.
And I'll say, very importantly, and I've been saying this in a couple of talks recently, be friendly, be warm, be welcoming, and answer the newbie's question that you've heard 1,000 times before with grace and understanding, because we've all been there.
Yes. This is pretty good. Find the potential. Like, everybody has potential. Let's figure out what they're good at.
All right. So we'll go, Dave.
Just a real quickie. We put some little signs up at all the craft breweries around Olympia and stuff, and said, hey, if you're enjoying your craft beer and you'd like to learn more, you'd like to do some stuff. And we've got a pretty good response from people who have been out enjoying beer and doing that. And I think we could take a page from Garrett Oliver, who's doing some amazing work, to try and encourage people who maybe have been left out before. And we could use some diversity. And, everybody's got some story to tell, and bring something extra to the thing. And I'm in awe just listening to what Jeff was saying when he's doing it in Chicago. Wow, that's amazing. So thank you.
And I'm still trying to figure out the TikToks, because I think we have to meet the people there too. All right, thank you, Dave. Jeff, you're next up on the bucket list, and I think we got Brooke, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, so our club, we're really good at getting at diversity. We have a few women who are on the board. We're pretty with aggressive in a good way with getting a good mix of club members. We do have like quarterly events where people can come and like kind of see, try our beers, meet club members and everything like their actual big events. So it's kind of like people can bring their friends and they don't have to feel uncomfortable. And then we let them know when our meetings are and let them know that they can, come and brew like a batch of beer and we'll kind of show them how to brew beer. We do a lot of, we have a really good partnership with the Chicago chapter of Barley's Angels. So we do a couple events with them every year. And then also the Chicago chapter of Black and Brew, which is a African American beer club. And they come and do brews with us and come to our events as well. So we're pretty good with outreach, and it's been a thing our club had struggled with for quite a few years, and I think we've really made a lot of progress with that. So,
Very good. All right, thank you, Jeff. And last one on this one, Brooke.
All right, thank you. It's a great question. It's one that definitely deserves, more time than we can give it tonight. It's interesting to piggyback off of the question we just had, which is like, what do you love the most about homebrewing? It all comes together, and what do we love about beer? It's the community, it's the fellowship, it's just this just creation of humanity that it is. And it's a complicated question. I mean, part of that answer is representation, making sure people can see themselves in the community that we're a part of. Part of it's going to be outreach, whether that's supporting clubs or events or um, just having more active voices and new perspectives. But a lot of it's cultural too. I've heard tonight we've touched on like homebrewing can be intimidating, especially when you're new, when others have technical knowledge that far surpasses your own. But I think the people that are the best at that are those who can make space at the table, share what they know gracefully, and invite others into that conversation. And so I would say whoever's going to come out of, the candidate slate onto the board, I would, I think we would all want to see that whoever those people are just going to reinforce what that spirit of community should be in beer as we're at this very inflective point, both in the industry at large and as the AHA, grows into its independency. So thanks for the question.
All right. Perfect. So I know we're at the top of the hour. This should be like when we're supposed to end. But real quick, I do think there's one question that we should probably answer if everybody's got the time, but keep this super quick because then we got to wrap up and do all the magic. It's because it's got asked a couple times here in the questions, which is basically how does the HA create value today, and where could that value be strengthened, particularly given like, hey, we do charge a fair amount for dues. So in your mind, real quick, thoughts? Mike, quick with the answer.
Connecting our individual little communities. We all have these little tiny grassroots communities. It's getting them all networked in.
All right, perfect. All right, Jason.
Yeah, the connecting yourself as a homebrewer to homebrew clubs in other states, to coming into the conferences, to judging. Like, there's so many opportunities that we can all be a part of this bigger hobby. I think that there's more we can do to promote that.
All right, thank you, sir. Dave.
Yeah, I echo that. Plus, you brew with a friend or you brew by yourself, but then you're part of a club, hopefully, and getting people back in a social environment has a lot of bonus to it. And I'd love to see more reach for clubs interacting at regional and state events, and get people fired up to be able to go to HBC because they had a positive experience with other brew clubs locally. So I think brew clubs are the way to go. Empower them.
All right, Mark.
Well, I want to second what everybody else said too, but maybe some things I'd add to that too. Just like let's build some excitement, man. I mean, like we're all on this call, like we've got that loving feeling around homebrew. Like let's get people freaking excited about what we're doing. When I started homebrewing, trying to find information was a challenge, right? You were going to forums and you were reading Zymergy and you were trying to find information and piece together things. And now it's just like it's so available. I think if there's an opportunity maybe to embrace some technology, lean into AI for what it's worth, and help folks navigate through that. And I think AHA could lead the charge on that.
Oh, I got a story to tell you soon. All right, Brooke, last one.
Okay.
Unless someone else wants to jump in.
I would say education, community, advocacy. Where the value grows, I think, is just helping people stay connected to the hobby in today's crazy world. These things look a lot different than it did 10 to 15 years ago, I would say. People have different time constraints, equipment, options, interests, distractions, that type of thing. But making sure HAA as a whole would be meeting our homebrewers where they are, which is whether that's through clubs, online, or education, or just events. I think that's the most important thing, is just kind of staying to that core value of helping people learn, share beers, enjoy it together.
Perfect. All right, Steph.
So, I mean, a couple of years ago, I would have never expected that I'd be doing. I mean, but being a part of things and stepping up into leadership roles, it's really taught me the value of the relationships, and that we can make a difference, and that there are so many talented people, and there's so many great people in the group that maybe haven't had that nudge yet. And what I want to do is I want to nudge all those people to become involved, be part of this, and let's take this into the next level, because it's worth saving, it's worth protecting what we have at the AHA, and let's just stop all the complaining and let's move forward and make this awesome.
There we go. Love it. All right, so I think that's going to be it, unless somebody has a passionate answer that they must get out now. If not, again, I know Emily just said it. I want to thank everybody who joined us tonight. I want to thank you to all the candidates who just spent the past hour plus answering questions and talking with me, which is torture, I know. But also just remember, everybody here who you're saying this is just part of this whole wonderful thing that we're rebuilding. So we are going to, there were still questions that we didn't get answered. I'm going to make sure we get those questions downloaded. We'll give them out to the candidates. We'll get the candidates to be able to actually go and, give their answers to it. And they'll put those answers out on the forum so that everybody can, get those answers as well. Again, you can also go back and rewatch this when it gets on YouTube, along with all the other happy hours that we've done so far. And in a little bit of administrative news, I will also say that the clubs committee, which is another one of my groups that I help run, is actually having a happy hour next week, same bat time, same bat channel. And these are going to be not happy hours, but office hours. And they're going to start doing quarterly to come in and have club folks come get support, get asked questions, tell us, hey, the great things that you're doing with your club, et cetera, et cetera. And so that will be next week on the 19th at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Look in the forum for the link, look elsewhere. I hope, for everybody who has club questions that you come in and talk, we're going to do a little bit of a presentation on, getting people to brew and not just drink beer. And our next Zymergy Live is going to be March 26th. And that's where we're going to discuss what's happening for Big Brew and how to make that fun for everybody. So with that, I'll say, don't forget, you got 17 more days to get your vote in. Link will be in the chat. Link is in the forum. And go and choose very carefully and very hard between all of these wonderful candidates. So thank you, everyone. Peace, love, and hops.
Thank you.
Hugo says hi. Hi, buddy.
Thank you, everybody.
Cheers.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good one.
Thank
Good
you,
job,
everyone, for
everybody.
joining us.
Okay.
That was awesome.
All right.